So it's quite interesting because I did a video on why you should not worry about girls, and there was a comment on that video. The comment was, "Are you sure this isn't due to your looks or something like that? Like, are you sure that you're not going on this path because of your looks? Because that's all that matters to women." And first off, no, I'm not concerned that it's about my looks because I'm relatively confident that I'm a decent looking man. Like, I'm not a horrendously unattractive individual. I know that I'm, relatively speaking, okay in my looks department. I carry myself relatively well. Um, I dress when I need to. I dress fairly okay as well. I know how to impress when I need to. I'm in shape, so it's not due to my looks. Um, what it is due to is how you feel about yourself. Okay, like if you feel shit about yourself, women will sense that. Okay, like I'm an extremist in this respect. I always compare your neurotypical to a psychopath. Okay, and why is a psychopath attractive? A psychopath is attractive because he does not have any feeling of negative feeling towards himself. That's what allows him to be very confident. It's what allows a psychopath to be very um not only confident but bold, fearless, right, impulsive even, because they don't have a lot of anxiety. They don't have these self concepts or self referential thinking, which a lot of neurotypicals have. Um, and they're zen. They're very calm under pressure. They do not feel the heat of the moment because there's not a lot of emotion going on there. But that being said, they do have a lot of fight or flight. I've noticed. So psychopaths do have the fight or flight um, impulse. That is something that does kick in on them quite a bit. Threat detection. Um, so they are like constantly having to stave that off, but that's something that requires more research on my part. What I'm trying to say is, you know, if women aren't finding you attractive, it's because you don't think you're attractive. You don't think you're like, you've got negative feelings towards yourself, because women are, look, go back to the Bible. Okay, the Bible, you've got Adam was here, and then you have Eve here. Okay, Adam here, Eve there, and Adam is first created, and then you have Eve, who's created afterwards. Okay, Eve follows in the stead of Adam. Okay, so let me say that one more time. Eve follows in the stead of Adam. Even you've got Paul, who says that Christ is the head of the church, or the head of the man, and the man is the head of the woman. Now, I don't think this is a demeaning or even patriarchal statement. I just think that this is the way the kind of cookie crumbles. Right, men are very logical. We're very rational. We're very goal orientated and objective orientated. Women tend to be very much they tend to be a lot more intuitive and emotional. Okay, like, very, if you don't understand that about women, you need to learn that. Women are very, like, women are the color of life, in my opinion. Men are like the kind of rule. Men are the rule. What am I trying to say? Men are like the rulers, and I don't necessarily mean a ruler in the form of like actual rulership. I mean they're like a ruler, like the thing that you measure things with. Men are like that. We're the analysts. We're the calculating people. We're the logicians, if you will. And I'm relatively emotional, by the way. I'm quite an emotional character, and I do believe that's because I grew up under my mum for most of my life. But hey, I don't care, right? It's definitely something that I like to do. But also, you need to understand that, okay, I'm emotional, but I'm also very rational and logical and analytical and very tactful as well, and very capable of meticulous planning long term across multiple avenues. And also, you know, like, there's many things that make a man different, separate from a woman. His testosterone, his physical size, his logical temperament, etc. But this isn't what I'm trying to get into. What I'm trying to say is, you are different to women, and if you don't know that women are operating on a different system than you are, then you have a lot to learn. So the guy said, women care about looks or whatever, and it's like, well, everyone cares about looks. Everyone. Like, don't get me wrong. If you present yourself in an ugly fashion, if you're not taking care of yourself, then yeah, of course, like, you're not going to be the most attractive person. But what I've seen is, and what I've felt and what I've experienced in my life, yeah, I'm not just chatting rubbish. This is the few times, okay, I've not been with many women in my life. Um, Multiple reasons. Most of my life, I had terrible self-esteem and I had terrible confidence. What gave me competence or confidence? Competence gave me confidence, right? What made me feel worthy? I didn't feel worthy of women for most of my life, okay? And the reason was because I was not being the best version of myself. I was not going for what I wanted in life. I was settling. I've yet to see men who settle attract decent women. And when I say settle, I mean men who don't have a plan, men who aren't taking responsibility for their lives, let alone other people's lives. They're not taking responsibility for their own life. They're not directing themselves in their life. Like, they've settled. They've given up on themselves, right? They've become hopeless and nihilists. That's not attractive. That's not attractive. Like, it might be attractive in the movies. It's not attractive in real life, man. It's not. I've yet to see a man who is like that have a decent partner with him. I've seen other men who are self-directed, motivated, driven people, driven men, who are active in their community and active in their own lives in making themselves better people. These people tend to attract partners because they are worthy. And if you go right back to biology, women want to be with providers and protectors. You keep saying it's all about looks. Brother, what are you on about? Men are not good looking. Like, over across the board, 80% of men are average in looks. And everyone pretty much in your bloody genetic line has managed to reproduce. Are you telling me that every single man in your bloody history, like in your paternal or maternal history, was a good looking like 10 out of 10, like Chad face? Bro, no one looks like that. Like, that's a model. That's a model. There's a reason why it's a model. It's because it's very rare. They don't exist. It's a beauty standard of like perfection, right? Like, no one looks like that. It's a beauty standard of perfection. What actually women find attractive is the drive and authenticity and the masculinity of a man. You can't replicate that. You can't even copy that. You can't even pretend to do that. It's an energy. It's a raw kind of energy. And you only kind of create that, if you're actually like taking responsibility of your life. You don't get that any other way. The only times I ever managed to attract women was when I took responsibility for my life and I decided that I'm going to do things my way and I'm going to finally make myself into the best version I possibly can and I'm going to make it happen and I ain't going to give up. So I set myself goals and I was pursuing those goals. I was driven. Okay, I was driven. It could have been, I'm gonna go and become a teacher. I'm gonna go and do boxing. I'm gonna do this fight. I'm gonna travel the world and do this, or like, it could be any goal. But I bloody meant the goal. It was an aspect of me taking responsibility for my life and me going and pursuing it. Right. This gave me my masculinity. This gave me my drive. This is what women respond to. Women can sniff that in the air, like I told you, because they're emotional and they're intuitive. They can sniff that out of the air. Now you probably don't have that. And the reason you don't is because you believe that women are like meant to respond to your looks, but that's not how it works. There's some men that do that, and some men have a false confidence because of that, and that's arrogance, in my opinion. But it's all right, cool, bro. You were born beautiful, like, well done. Not all of us are like that. Like, I'm sorry, innit? And the 90% of us who weren't born beautiful, you have to work, just like your ancestors did, just like everyone in history ever did. You have to work for your success, man. You've got to work for your success. If you're not willing to put in the work, brother, well, first off, you've got to believe that the work's actually going to lead to something. Let me just put it this way. What did I say? Women want providers and protectors. So that means if you just simply become competent and you become competent in leading your life, you will become attractive to a partner. If you take responsibility for your life and you start moving towards the goals that you've set for yourself, you will become attractive. I'm telling you right now, because competence equals confidence. You will become more confident in yourself. You will become more self-assured. You will become more braver. You will become stronger. You will become more resilient, right? And these are all attractive qualities to women. They're attractive qualities to men as well, right? Men are going to want you as a friend, and women are going to want you as a partner, okay? And that's the kind of man you want to be, okay? Like, that's what makes a man attractive. If you're not, if women aren't finding you attractive, it's because you're not taking responsibility for yourself, man. Why would a woman want to be with you? Like, why? Like, what are you doing to survive? What are you doing to provide? And by the way, you're not just doing it for her. You're doing it for yourself. And go back to the old days. Go back to the old caveman days, right? You had a man, okay? He was by himself. He's surviving. Okay, a woman's out there in the wild. She's looking for the best partner. If she can see that this man is working hard and he's surviving and he's keeping away the predators, right? The predators aren't coming close to him, right? He's willing to protect his cave, right? He's going out there. He's hunting. He's grinding, right? That's attractive to her. She's like, okay, no, he is the guy I'm going to attach myself to. And because there's so many men out there in the world and there's so many women out there in the world, if you just grind you're automatically better than 50% of the men, I believe, because most of the men out there nowadays aren't directing their lives. They've given up. And the biggest sign of a man who's given up is the one who blames external circumstances for his failures. The man who starts to blame his looks or society or the economy or other people or whatever, the moment he starts doing that is the moment he's lost, because now you're not a man anymore. You're a bloody bitch. You're a victim. You are someone who has actually given up. And why the hell is anyone going to be with you when you've given up? You've decided to be a loser. You've decided in that moment that I'm not going to fight anymore. I've given up. Brother, everything in life that you want is going to come with a struggle. Don't expect things to come easy. Don't expect things to be handed to you in a lap. This is bullshit, effeminate, and weak thinking. It's going to take work, and it's going to take effort on your part, and it's going to take you setting goals, and it's going to take you failing. You're going to get rejected. Brother, rejection is the norm for life. Like, if someone told me this when I was younger, life would have been so much better for me. Rejection is the norm for life, okay? You're gonna get rejected. Like, even Jordan Peterson talks about this. Like, even if you're they had an attractive male guy go on a campus versus a unattractive one or whatever, and that attractive male was rejected probably 99 times out of 100, because the norm is rejection. The norm is rejection. Okay. Now, obviously, the guys who seem to be the most successful with women are the men who just have communities. That's what I've seen. I've seen autistic men, flat out autistic men, have no problem finding at least a girl, right? Like, I'm not talking about a string of one night stands. I don't really think that's a good way of going about things, to be honest. But hey, if you're a man who's starving, as you are, at least that it sounds like you are, then that probably sounds very appealing to you. I don't think that's really something you should be going towards. It kind of ruins you mentally and psychologically. But think of it like this: if you're just in a community, the woman's like, oh, he's safe. He's in a community. He's safe. He's not a creep. He's not a weirdo. He's not an outcast. Now, if you are a creep, weird, or outcast, then stop being one. Stop being normal, man. Like, well, adjust yourself. You know, understand that, hey, if I'm a part of a community, man, I've got a duty to play. I don't get to just be a loner. I don't get to be a Sigma male loner. Like, I have to build an active relationship with the people in my community, even if that just means being kind and generous. Like, you don't need to be a small talk genius. You just need to be someone who's kind and generous and someone who likes people. If you don't like people, if you're always hating, if you're always being a hater, no one wants to be around a hater. No one wants to be around a bitter loser, bruv. And believe me, I've been a bitter loser in the past, and no one wants to be around one of those. You want to be someone who's capable, confident, and generous. And the way you do that is by taking responsibility for your life, every aspect of your life. Like, bro, if you're failing in an area, you've got to say, right, bro, I ain't putting in the work. And the essential aspect of work is attention. Like, if your eyes are not open and you're not actually looking at things and people, because you're so, like, besmirched by anxiety, and obviously, like, someone who believes that it's all about looks is consumed with self-doubt, consumed with negative thoughts, and consumed with this self-referencing paradigm of looping to hell. That's psychological hell, right? And the only way psychological hell is something that becomes repeating is when you don't have a community, and when you don't know that other people are suffering from the same problem as you. Like, normal quote-unquote people in the world, people who aren't just in the internet, they go through large stretches of time when they're not dating, when they're not with girls, when they're not, sexually involved or whatever, sexually active. Like, that happens. That's normal. That's the norm, right? I know people who are in communities who go through sometimes months without having a girl. Now, you're just one of those same people, but what you've done is you've made it into a problem. You've said, there's something wrong with me, and that's why this is the case. It's like, no, it's the norm. It's the norm. There's maybe 1% of the people in the world who are, like, getting laid every day, right? Like, seriously. And besides, pornography is also something that has contributed largely to the problem. Pornography has massively warped the perception that we have of the opposite gender and the opposite sex. You can't relate to women without thinking about sex. Like, don't get me wrong, you've got your male lust. That's something that's there. But pornography makes it, it drives it out of proportion. I'm going to address this last bit because, I have trained somewhat as a mental health practitioner. I do have a level 2 in counseling, so I have trained a little bit into this. But look, go back to the biological roots of women, why women find men attractive. And if you don't feel attractive, it's because you simply aren't acting like a man. The moment you start acting like a man, you will start feeling attractive. When you start feeling attractive, women will respond to you feeling attractive. Seriously, like when they say it's all about you, they're not wrong, man. Like, they're not wrong. When you start putting in the work, like when you sit down, you're like, I'm putting work, man. I put in work this week, man. I grind for your goals. I don't mean for someone else. I don't mean you grinded at your job just to feed your boss. Like, that's stupid. That's slavery. I mean, I grinded because I know that I'm 1% closer to my dream goal of getting to where I want to go in life, where my end destination is, what my utopia is. I'm going to get one step closer to that. You know what it is? It's deep down buried in your recesses. Find out, go meditate, do something. But when you are working towards your vision, that is when you're going to be at your happiest, right? Because right now, look, bro, I'm single, pretty much broke, living in my mom's house. I've got loads of good things going for me, by the way, like loads. Don't get me wrong. Like, I've got, number one, I've got a house, I've got a great body. I'm training martial arts. I've got an internet club coming in 2 weeks' time, or a few weeks, like a week and a half actually. Now it's getting pretty steady close. So, you know, I've got that. Like, you know, I've got a bit of work to do when it comes to the martial arts as well. I've got a bit of work to do when it comes to training for that. And I've got a good family. You know, all things aside, petty bullshit aside, I've got a good family, really good family, good morals, good ethics, good intelligence. So, you know, there's that. You know, I've got loads of good things going for me, man. You know, really, like, so many good things going for me in my life right now. But, you know, realistically, like, I could be doing so much better. I could be doing so much better, right? I could be so much more further in my life. I could be making more videos, for example, and I could be way ahead in my terms of my career, and I could be way ahead in terms of where I want to be, like getting a car and finishing my license and all this stuff. But, like, I've set myself a goal for 10 years. I know I'm going to hit it before, though. I will hit my goal before the 10-year mark. I may even hit it. If I grind my butt off, I could probably hit it in 5 years. I'm not going to tell you what the goal is, because I don't believe you should tell people your goals too much. I believe you should keep them private. Really, keep your goals private. Don't tell people about your goals. Because if it's the right goal for you, my mom says this, and it's true. If it's the right goal for you, then go for it. Stop believing it can't happen just because other people say it's hard. Go for it. This mentality is what's attractive to women. It will blow women away. Like, you will find the right woman for you when you start doing what is right in your life. Okay? You will. I'm not lying. I did. I found 2 women in my life so far. I'm 27. 2, yeah. I found 2 women who were my genuine, like, we had genuine soul connections. Okay? Genuine soul connections. The reason why they didn't work out was because of the moment I got involved with them, I started to give up on my goals. Really, I started to give up on my goals. I stopped believing in my vision because I was like, well, this girl, you know, she's here, and wow, like, she believes in me. And it went to my head, and I started becoming unattractive the moment I started doing that, because I started to give up on my vision, man. And that's a bit like what God talks about in the Bible, you know, when he says to Cain, if only you did what was right, you would be accepted. It's like, some people are born to do a higher calling, man. You know, some people are born to do a higher calling, and, you know, let me be real with you as well, brother. Like, I'm a bit of a deep thinker, so for me in general, social interaction is hard. Like, I can talk for days here, but I mean, like, if the social interaction doesn't have an intellectual component to it, brother, I'm not in it. I'm not even in the discussion. I'm not even there. I can't even entertain it. Like, I've tried to in the past. I've tried to, but it wasn't even, like, boring. It was just, it was literally like, I don't know what I'm doing here. It was literally that. It was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Like, this is a waste of time. It's a waste of time. I'm wasting my time being here. Like, I don't know. That could be arrogance. It could be pride. It could be a lot of things. I think you should be nice. I think you should be kind. I think you should, you know, offer the one comment here and there. But you've got to remember, man, like, 90% of women, you're not going to mess with. You're not going to mesh with them. You might be thinking about the guys who are, like, dealing with women like that. Okay, man, maybe they can psychopathically put on the charm and pretend to like someone when they don't. Pretend to like that person just because they want to get into their pants. Like, if you want to be that guy, you can do that. That exists. I just don't think that's a really healthy way of going about things. I've tried doing that. And it's not the way you want to do it. It's not the way you want to do it. You don't want to go down that pathway. It's a pathway that drags you lower. It doesn't make you higher. It pulls you lower into hell, as opposed to, it's like fighting with people unnecessarily. It drags you to hell. You start thinking on their level. You start playing their games. You start becoming dirty. You stop doing God's work. You start doing the devil's work, which is about tearing people as opposed to building people up, or about mainly building yourself. You start tearing yourself apart when you start doing that stuff. Choose peace. Be capable of war, but choose peace, man. Seriously, like, be capable of war. Don't be weak. Don't be vulnerable. Well, you're gonna be vulnerable. Don't be weak. Don't be incapable of fighting. Be a formidable force when you need to be a formidable force. Have it in you to stand up to injustice and tyranny. Have it in you to bring out the inner gangster when you need to bring out the inner gangster. But don't walk around with that being your main weapon in life, man, because otherwise you're just gonna have a very, very unsavory life. You're not gonna have a very good life. You're not. Fight for what is meaningful. Don't fight for what is not meaningful. Okay. And anyway, yeah, like, going back to the whole girl thing, like, this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about these big things in life, man, like your purpose, your mission, your relationships with other people. These are the things that matter, not girls. Like, why would you ever think it's just about girls, and why would you ever think it's just about your looks? Have you ever thought about how ridiculous that sounds? It's thinking that only happens when you spend too much time on the internet and you don't go out there in real life and you don't socialize and you don't learn from people. And I know, because I've been there. Like, the reason why I'm making this video is because I've been there and I thought the same way this person thought. But after going out there in the world and actually living a life, it turns out that no, looks are not the only thing that matter, that there are big parts. Maybe you matter. Maybe you're the most important thing behind the looks. And the way you interact and see the world is maybe unattractive. And you might say, well, that's just who I am and that's me. It's like, well, no, that's called pride and arrogance speaking right there. And that's not who you are. Maybe you need to check yourself and figure out, okay, what am I doing wrong? Right? Like, where am I falling short? Pick an avenue, stick to it, be responsible, right? And don't give up on your damn dreams, because that's the sign of a loser. All right, I'm signing out, man. I've spoken a bit. I've spoken for 22 minutes. Hope this helped clarify some things.